Yeah, well, welcome to our Friday coffee talk, which we do every Friday for 8 minutes. And I'm really glad to be here today. And my name is Henrike von Platen.
And I'm Margrét Bjarnadóttir. And here's my cup of coffee.
Can you repeat your name, please, Margrét?
Margrét Bjarnadóttir.
Yeah, I just love to hear that, and I just cannot explain it or put it that way. Yeah, here we are today. So where are you sitting and having your coffee?
I'm faking it, so I just moved around within my bedroom, but I'm still...
So you're still in Reykjavík.
Still in Reykjavík, still drinking coffee out of German coffee mug.
Yeah. Times are crazy, but it's okay.
Yeah. You have a new background as well.
Yeah, I actually moved. We had a little island hopping yesterday, so at the moment I'm slowly getting back to Berlin. We left Lanzarote now and are on Tenerife now, and yeah, another week and then I'll be back in Berlin. So you will be seeing next week another background.
Awesome, cool. So this you did a cyber conference yesterday.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that was a Cyberforum. That was fun. That was really fun.
Who was it with?
It was with Esentri, one of our piloting companies, sort of one of the first ones that actually got the Universal Fair Pay check. So they are proud analysts and they're very proud talking about it. And it was the first time we did this like joint session in a way in this webinar format with Robert. And he was talking about his past and what they've done with us in the analysis. And I really liked the way that he explained what it did to them as a company and how they, due to closing or wanting to close the gap and due to looking at the analysis, started to talk about their culture and what that has sort of made with them. And what I really liked, and that is something that I have heard a few times, but I always find very intriguing, is he also again went on the point that he was very surprised. He thought he had no pay gaps inside the company, like everybody does. And then he was very surprised about the pay gaps that he does have, starting to sort out the data, which wasn't so difficult. So the whole process was 3 months. And he thought what was also surprising, and there were some questions around this as well, that the amount of money that he now needs to sort of take into his hand to fix the main issues of the explained pay gaps is 1.something% of the whole wages sum, of the annual wages sum. And I noticed again, and I've had that experience a few times, that the people are often surprised. They think that it's a paradox. First of all, they think they have no gaps. But when they start to think about having to look at them, they are afraid it's going to be very expensive, which in a way is really paradox because they think they have none. And then they find out that it's not so expensive. And I wanted to ask you actually, because you have seen so many more companies than I have seen doing the analysis in Iceland. What is it usually only this 1% or a bit more, or where is sort of the limit where you would say it's usually never more than X?
It's an interesting question, right? So it depends on a couple of things, right? So first, it depends on how big is the gap that we need to close. So I don't know are you allowed to tell us how big was the gap that they were closing?
I'm not exactly sure.
Okay, so then let's leave that on. Yeah, so it depends on how big the gap is, right? So the bigger the gap, obviously, the bigger in the investment to close it. And then
1 digit, something between.
Absolutely. And then it also
7%.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So so then the second part is it depends on how many females you have. So if you have a bigger gap for a bigger set of females, well, then it's going to be a little bit more expensive than if you only have a handful females in your workforce and you need just to close the gap for them, right? So that is another driving force. And then I would say the third driving force is actually how the females. So I'm assuming the gap is against the females is what not universally what we see, but that's what we typically see. Then it also depends a little bit on how they're distributed across your pay structure. So if they are, concentrated in the lower brackets of the pay structure, fixing it is sometimes cheaper. But I would say what you're telling me, like, 1.something% to close the gap, that resonates with me. So I would say typically we don't see the cost of the investment needed going a lot beyond 2-3%. That would be unusual.
Yeah, that's what I see too, and I really enjoyed hearing that as an experience, sort of this best practice of somebody who has done it, and not only us. I mean, we've been doing this all the time, and people know that, and they can ask us. But seeing the people that have actually done it, seeing the CEO for a company with 100 employees talking about it, gives others sort of the direct sensation, hey, this is possible. This is not rocket science, and you can even do it with the data that you have, and you just need to start. So that was messages that I really enjoyed that again. It's been such a long time to do these kind of webinars, although we did figure out it would be nice to do it in person again one day. But our coffee chat is like this, so that's great too.
Yeah. So because you mentioned the impact it had on the company, did he speak to how it changed the culture?
They actually had a very in-depth look at the culture already some years before, and were like a bit also about the wages. And they had the project, they named it Open Salary some years before we met, and were on the topic and got sort of in a way stuck. And what it did to their culture now, looking at it in depth and really seeing that they can actually change this, is a very positive effect that he's noticing, because by doing these changes, even though they might not be for the company tangible, for each person individually, it makes a big difference to get these 100 euros more or less, or whatever the final amount actually is. And that gives the whole company in a whole sensation of really being treated equally and fair. So the fair treatment that they have in their culture ingrained anyhow is strengthened by that. And that's great to see. That's great to see. And he knows also, of course, that when he does that now, it's an involvement of the normal process of the annual wage setting in a way. And then you can just stick to it. And everybody is clearer on the rules behind why they get paid, what they get paid, sort of about the values. So the discussion about the values was very strong as well. So if you take it together, it's a positive effect that we too have seen very often actually already, and it's always interesting to see how others feel it so hard, and really it's so easy to just make the first step.
Yeah, it's key to make the first step.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so maybe we can talk about the first steps next time, because I think we just have 30 seconds to go or so. So see, I'm on the timer this time. But I was thinking maybe we can provide people with a link to your webinar.
Yeah, we can do that. We can put that in. I can see if it's online, and we can put that there.
That would be great.
And a link to the details to esentri, what esentri does. I can share the link under our coffee chat to the movie about esentri and what that company does, because it's really nice how they did that. I like it. We'll put that there.
Super. I think that's exactly on time.
Well, then I would say
we stuck to our 8 minutes.
Yeah, we stick to them and wish everybody a great Friday.
Exactly.
Thank you, Margret.
Until next time. Bye.